Hello and welcome to Lunchtime Politics. I'm Jeffrey Uzon. Here are the highlights. President Tinubu is presently in the United Arab Emirates meeting with country's leadership to address the lingering bilateral issues between both nations. A Joint Council kick against the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited $3 billion loan from Afrexim Bank demands details of repayment plan. Vice President Senator Kashim Shettima says Nigeria requires 21 trillion naira to address the present housing deficit, which he believes is about 28 million houses. We'll begin with the festering political face-off in Edo State, where the Deputy Governor, Philip Shaibu, has commenced the relocation of his office to an area outside the vicinity of the government house. The new office is situated at number 7 Dennis Osadebe Avenue, close to the government house. Sources close to the Deputy Governor said that the new office has not been completely renovated. And sources add that the new office is not habitable. Rather, sources close to the Deputy Governor said that a letter was sent to the Head of Service to Permanent Secretary, Office of the Deputy Governor, instructing her to supervise the movement of civil servants and files to the new office. The state government had, however, insisted that the Deputy Governor's new office within the confines of the area designated as Government House. The Deputy Governor has been at loggerheads with Godwin Obaseki, the Governor, over issues of succession after Mr. Philip filed a case in court to present an alleged impeachment move on him by the Governor, which he has now withdrawn. We'll continue to follow the developments in that state and intimate you as they unfold. Now, the Tinubu-Shettima Network Support Group is raising concern over the rising security or insecurity in northern Nigeria and other parts of the country, and they're asking the federal government to step up efforts in addressing the situation. At the news conference in Kaduna, the national coordinator of the Shettima Tinubu Network, Mr. Kelani Mohammed, says the recent attacks in Katsina, Kaduna, Niger, and other states where several people were killed by bandits, including security personnel, is a pointer to the resurgence of banditry in the region. The group is therefore asking security agencies to map out new strategies to address the various security challenges confronting the country.
The issue of insecurity is still bothering Nigerians, and I know in our 8-point agenda, security is one of the paramount issues that the government said it wants to tackle. But I had the news today in Katsina about they say 60 people were killed, those health workers. Some were rescued. And it seems the bandits are back. So we want local government monies to be released directly to the local government because they are closer to the people, so that they will bring in civilian JTFs, equipment, train them, so that they can work in collaboration with our security agencies to bring peace and tranquility in our nation.
Now, a quick review of President Bola Tinubu's participation at the G20 summit, where he met with heads of state of 3 nations, which have been identified as key partners in his economic development, diplomatic drive for local investment and wealth creation. According to a statement from the president's spokesperson, Mr. Ajirin Gelale, President Bola Tinubu had a meeting with the German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, where he presented a unique opportunity to expand ties of prosperity for the people of Nigeria, but with a pragmatic approach towards ensuring the effective execution of agreements struck. Following President Tinubu's acceptance of the German Chancellor's request to visit, the president proceeded to sit down with the leader of Asia's 4th largest economy, South Korea, during which South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol commended the president's regional leadership in upholding democratic tenets and norms. President Tinubu shared his economic focus as he immediately advanced proposals for an enhanced South Korean presence in Nigeria's local manufacturing sector, while the South Korean president responded in agreement, promising to mobilize his business community to take advantage of the new Nigerian incentive for education, technology, and energy sectors. The president also met with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and drew attention to the opportunities between the 2 nations across sectors such as agricultural development, ICT innovation, and the emergence of blue-chip fintech growth in Africa. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has arrived in the United Arab Emirates, where he is scheduled to meet with the country's leadership during a technical stopover in Abu Dhabi due to address lingering bilateral issues while maximizing the opportunity of the stopover to advance its investment promotion objective with high-level authorities in public and private sectors of the UAE. Now, let's look at a few things before we bring in our guest who is going to be espousing the issues around the president's conversation in the UAE. Nigeria and the United Arab Emirates have had a mixed bag of rosy and rocky diplomatic relations for a while, given that the UAE had become a destination of choice for Nigerians and who travel for both leisure and business. But that relationship was strained when in October 2020, the Emirates authorities slammed the visa ban on Nigeria after Emirates Airlines suspended flights to Nigeria. Apparently, the UAE was reacting to the failure of Nigeria to repatriate millions of dollars trapped funds belonging to the Emirates Airlines. However, President Bola Tinubu started mending relationships with the country, which is why he's in Abu Dhabi to bring closure to some of the issues affecting diplomatic relations. Recall that the Emirates Airline announced the suspension of its flight operations to Nigeria on Saturday, or rather on September 1, 2022, citing the inability to repatriate its earnings in foreign exchange from Nigeria's revenue amounting to about $85 million. Nigeria now is facing, or was then facing, forex exchange crisis as it is facing now. And this has seen the naira depreciate against the dollar. So we're going to be exploring all of this. The president's trip outside the country, especially in focus, this stopover, as it is considered a technical stopover in the UAE. I'm being joined on the program by Mr. Benga Olowo, who is an aviation analyst. Mr. Olowo, thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Good afternoon. Pleasure to be with you.
Now, the issues under contention are quite clear. Visa ban for Nigeria to be lifted and funds repatriation for Emirates. Those are some of the ones that are in the public domain. If you were advising the president, what would you be telling him on how to approach these issues? Because it appears he's very passionate about bringing closure to some of these issues so that this rocky relationship will stop once and for all.
Yeah, I think I've said it on this channel before that the number one priority for this administration is to address this issue of foreign airline backlog. It's number one priority. It's not negotiable. Nigeria is number one in the world owing international airlines this kind of money. I mean, it is not a matter of payment. It is this airline's money in our system, in our purse. Okay, it is not payment. It's their own funds in our banks that should be remitted back to their base. I mean, international trade demands that when I make money in your system, and haven't paid all the taxes, I should be allowed to move my net earnings back home. Do we need a foreign airlines in the land? Yes, we do. Because as we speak, 85% up to 90% of what we call aviation in Nigeria is still done by these foreign airlines. And until we develop our own strong carriers to reciprocate, we need to meet our obligations to this airline. So I said it to the minister last week that number one is to attend to these foreign airlines home remittance. Number two is to step up our airlines to reciprocate. I mean, right now we have Air Peace and we have United Nigeria designated. For them to meet and rescue market share for the airlines will still take some time. There's still a lot of procedures that goes into it. Mr. President's visit to UAE is welcome, beautiful. I saw the minister, but I didn't see the airlines. I mean, you can't shave the airlines' head without them. So the airlines that will be flying to UAE should be there on the table to discuss with the airlines of UAE coming to Nigeria. While Mr. President and the minister talks the policy, these people will talk the commercials. So each time we're going for these bilateral issues, we need the airlines. 2 airlines are now designated that we know maybe more will go. When we have 2-3 Nigerian strong carriers, we will begin to rescue market shares gradually. But for now, the airlines doing the business are giving us the service. we must meet our obligations to them. I'm informed that they still have up to $783 million stuck in our system, and that should be a priority before we go ahead.
Mr. Law, without trying to make excuses, apparently we're cash-strapped, to say the least, when it comes to foreign exchange. Don't you think these are some of the reasons? Because we've seen that the NNPCL, as you know, had gone for the crude for cash loan that they've secured about $3 billion. Part of the FX creation. Just a minute, sir. Part of the FX creation. We've also seen the president secure some investment commitment or pledge, as you will call it, of 14.3 billion naira from the sidelines of the G20 and all of that. These are some of the pointers to the fact that we have a lot of issues when it comes to foreign exchange. Do you think that foreign exchange deficit vis-a-vis our technically weak buffer is responsible for some of this repatriation not being possible?
I don't agree with you. We are not cash-strapped. When you're talking about import-export problems, airline remittance is not in that factor of the national income. If I have funds in your system, that naira equivalent is in our system, and whatever currency that I want it, I should be able to get it. So those are logistics and problems of the CBN and the finance ministry to sort out. We are not cash-strapped. Don't forget that we sign international trade and we must respect international trade. This airline issue and others are called what we call invisible trade. And how we attend to invisible trade outside the import-export activity is our responsibility and a challenge to finance and the CBN. So I don't agree that we are cash-strapped. We are not. We're not the only country in the world. Lesser countries are meeting these obligations that are poorer in economics. We have economists here, and in the last 10, 20 years, we'll not be able to attend this problem in Nigeria. It's a matter of priority.
So that we'll move on. I understand your point, but I was talking about the issues relating, as of course, as you've explained, issues of international trade and all of that. But given the issues that is in public domain in terms of the issues that we have to deal with when it comes to dollars and all of that. But moving on from that, what has this rocky relationship, this role, cost Nigeria since all of this started, in your view?
In my view, Nigerian business from these foreign airlines, I don't have the facts and figures. You know, this is our system here. We lack data. But I do know that, judging from booking volume that I have access to, the Nigerian business in aviation, booking volumes have dropped by almost 43%. Almost 43% booking volumes. And what does this translate to? This translates to loss of income from taxes and all the fees that should be paid to CAA, to airport authorities, to airspace authority, and the airlines are withdrawing their inventories. If you see a fare from Togo or Benin to London or to New York, those fares are cheaper because the airlines are saying, I won't sell my air fares in Nigeria because I will not get my funds. So they block those inventory. It's an indirect way of saying, look, I am withdrawing my service gradually, but I want to maintain a presence. So they're still hanging in there, but making it impossible for Nigerian passengers to get low tariffs. You have to go and get low tariffs in Ghana. That's boosting Ghanaian economy. Boost it in Benin, put it in Togo, because when they sell in those countries, they have their money in their pocket. So it's a big loss to the Nigerian economy. Booking volumes, like I said, has dropped by almost 43%. I have access to that. And so we're losing a lot from that direction.
So given the fact that this losses about booking volume you talked about has been recorded, are you quite optimistic that the president, now leading from the front, because apparently he's not sending anyone, he wants to go himself, talk to the leadership as well as other partners probably that are in this space. Are you optimistic that something really tangible will be coming out of this conversation between the president and the UAE leadership?
I do think so. I do think so. Issue on bilateral is very simple. Everybody, I fly to your country, you fly to my country. It's because both of us are smiling to the bank. And when we smile to the bank, we must have access to our funds. So what Mr. President has done is quite positive in his 100 days. I think it's very thoughtful. It shows that he's been listening and he heard all the cries of the airlines, both the domestic and international airlines. The minister is taking the right step right now. It started well. I hope we'll continue that way. Talk to all the stakeholders. Let's provide solutions and let's move forward. Our aviation has been backward in the last so many years, and it's so regrettable. We shouldn't be here.
Ms. Alao, thank you so much for coming on the program and giving us your expert insight as to this issue of diplomatic role between Nigeria and the UAE when it comes to our aviation sector. Thank you so much for your time.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Let's now move on to other stories on the program. Ahead of the November 11 governorship election in Kogi State, security seems to be more of concern to the residents as they plead with the political leaders and the parties to follow and embrace peace, peaceful coexistence as they gear up for the polls. One of the governorship candidates for the forthcoming governorship election, Murtala Njaka, wants all contesting for the #1 seat in the state to be given a level playing ground and allow for residents to vote for the candidate of their choice without any form of intimidation. Mr. Njaka is also asking security agencies to be professional in their dealing while securing the candidates, the ballots, and the electorate. And he joins us, Mr. Farouk Adejo, who is the Director, Communication for Mr. Murtala Njaka, who is the governorship candidate of the SDP, joins us now on the program. Mr. Adejo Audu, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much.
Kogi is in focus. Apparently, it's one of the 3 states where we're going to have the off-cycle election on November 11. And today is September 11, coincidentally 2 months exactly to that particular exercise in your state. So give us an overview. What's the general political atmosphere in Kogi State exactly 2 months to that election?
Well, thank you very much, sir. Ordinarily, I think people are excited that the election is coming once more, and they will have the opportunity to exercise their right to elect whoever is going to become governor. That should ordinarily be the mood in the state. And if you can see, if you are able to, you have viewed the campaigns so far, particularly that of the SDP, you see the excitement, you see the number of people that have been coming out to receive our candidates, in excitement that, of course, there is hope that a better government will be installed in Kogi come January 27th. So yes, that should be the mood at the moment. But then, like you said in your introduction, there are issues of security. And it's unfortunate that each time we talk about Kogi elections since 2017, I think there was a by-election in 2017, 2018. Each time we talk about Kogi election, the issues will rush to is the issue of security. It's a very unfortunate thing that will always dominate the conversation, and ordinarily it shouldn't be so. Elections are not war, but in our case, we can't pretend about it. Election has always turned out to be war. People get killed, people get maimed, and a lot of things happen. In 2019, the woman leader of the PDP was burnt alive, trapped in a house and set the house ablaze. Gunmen watched her to prevent her from coming out through the windows or through anywhere until the house burnt down. The woman was burnt alive. Well, this may sound very gory, but that is the situation we face in Kogi. Since 2017, each election has been violence and violence and violence. So it's always been the issue of security.
Yeah, well, I think
ordinarily what people should expect during elections is that they should be able to go out and vote in a peaceful atmosphere. I mean, when we talk about free and fair election, that is the basic minimum that is expected of electioneering anywhere. But in our case, I think it's generally agreed that once there is election in Kogi, what should be expected is violence.
Mr. Aldo, just before I follow up with other questions, if I heard you clearly, correct me if I'm wrong, you said the burning of the woman was, she was prevented from going out by security agencies. Do you have any proof to that?
I said gunmen. Gunmen.
Gunmen, yes,
okay. I mean, it's never been denied.
Okay, I wanted to be sure.
Denied. I
wanted to be sure what you were saying so that to put it on record.
Yes, okay. Okay, listen, sir. Just very recently, somebody was killed in a town called Ejule in Kogi East of local government. The commissioner of police at that time, his name is Adeshino. Adeshino said, I think Adeshino or something, the commissioner of police, he was transferred just about weeks ago. He said that the guy they went to kill extrajudicially, who turned out to be a supporter of our candidate, was the person who killed.
Hold on.
The person who led the guy that burnt the woman alive.
These are strong allegations.
Officially, sir.
Mr. Aldo, you can. I don't know whether any policeman will come out to say they are going to kill anybody.
It's not an allegation. He said it in a press conference, sir.
Oh, well, we don't have privy to that information. But let me just ask you quickly, because all of these are allegations. Is there anything suggesting that this election will be different from what has been experienced in Kogi? As you've admitted, and as we know, from the last election, it can be quite volatile. But is there anything right now suggesting that this will be quite different from what has been in 2019?
In fact, our fear is that the violence could be worse. And when I talk about violence, with all due sense of responsibility, the violence is a one-way violence. It comes from the official government of Kogi State to other people who are running against their candidates. That is the truth of the matter. No one, not one person from the side of the governor has ever been maimed or killed in the course of this.
Mr. Aldo, these are very strong allegations. And if I had the privilege of having them,
public domain,
hold on, Mr. Aldo. It's quite easy to make these allegations. I'm not disputing your position, but these are allegations. Unfortunately, I don't have the Kogi State government here to respond or engage you in this banter. But I want to keep it around what we can defend and what you can defend for a fact. Right. It's an open contest, given the fact that the governor is completing his second term after 8 years. Do you see a level playing ground?
No, sir. Definitely not, sir. And I give you a lot of, I will give you instances. Okay? Truth of the matter is, number one, the other candidates, as I talk to you, the candidate of the Action Democratic Congress, his name is Leki Abejide. The other day, a magistrate in Lokoja issued a bench warrant and said he should be arrested and brought before him. If you remember, in July, the candidate of the SDP has to go to court to be able to obtain a court order, a court injunction to restrain the governor or his agents from arresting him. Okay? And so many other issues. I mean, we have issues of our secretariat has been burned down 2 or 3 times, and all of that, and not one person has been prosecuted. In fact, no investigation as far as we're concerned. We have done petitions, we have done all that. So when you have these things going on, and the official institutions that are supposed to redress issues of violence and not sitting up, then you definitely know that going into the election, you're on your own. Okay? The options are, number one, is either you submit to the violence, or you resist the violence by defending yourself. And if you try to resist the violence, of course, they will come heavily on you. That has been the issue. So, I mean, I don't see level playing ground at all, sir.
I wish I had all the time, but I wanted to ask you, just in 10 seconds, because I have other stories I want to run through quickly, but just in 10 seconds, what is your party SDP doing to also maintain the peace before, during, and after the election? Some level of taking responsibility on your side. 10 seconds, if you can, please.
Very easy. I mean, our supporters are peaceful. As much as possible, we have preached peace in the face of every provocation. Our secretariat has been burnt down 3 times. Our candidate has been attacked on the road, and not once have we ever retaliated. So we're looking for peace because we know that if we retaliate, we are playing into the hands. They are baiting us into violence so that if for any reason we are provoked into retaliation, they will not have a field day. And when it comes to violence, they have official cover. So when it comes to violence, we are not going to be able to match them. So our strategy is to go to
unfortunately, my sincere apologies. I did tell you just 10 seconds. I wish I can allow you. My sincere apologies. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Farouk Adejo, who is the Director of Communication for the SDP candidate in the November 11 governorship election in Kogi State, Mr. Marotala Ajako. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you very much, sir. I wish we had more time.
We will have more. Our eyes are on Kogi. We'll invite you and other people to come and speak on the issue. But let's move on to other stories. Following the recent completion and inauguration of a state-of-the-art general hospital built by the Uzodinma administration in 3 oil-producing local government areas of Oguta, Ohaji, Egbema, and Oru East, youths in the oil-producing communities have passed a vote of confidence on Governor Uzodinma, endorsing him for a second term in office on November 11. The youth under the aegis of Imo Hope Restoration Group at the Freedom Square in Owerri, the Imo State capital, said the oil-producing communities in the state have not had it this good.
The Imolas have already agreed that His Excellency will go for the second tenure. So what we are doing here today is a formality. It's a formality. So the Imo Hope Restoration Group are here today to add their voice to that agreement by the whole Imo people that the civil Uzodinma will go for the second tenure. This has been agreed. What we are doing here today is a formality and to flag up or formally inaugurate this group. They are here today to endorse the governor, to assure the governor that no vote will drop.
Now, the Joy Youth Council, IYC, has kicked against the $3 billion emergency crude repayment loan secured by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited from Afrexim Bank. The NNPCL Limited had last month announced a crude for cash deal, saying the commitment letter, which was signed at the Afrexim Bank's headquarters in Cairo, Egypt, will enable it to support the federal government in its ongoing fiscal and monetary policy reforms aimed at stabilizing the exchange rate market. But briefing journalists in Port Harcourt, the River State capital, the National Secretary of the IYC, Mr. Maboye Nangiobu, explains that if the loan is capped at $70 per barrel of oil, it will take NNPC about 9 years to pay back the debt. And then more stories now. Nigeria requests 21 trillion naira to address the housing deficit in the country. And that's according to the Vice President, Senator Kashim Shettima. He was speaking during the groundbreaking of a 500-unit housing estate to be constructed by the Sokoto state government. In a statement by the director in the office of the Vice President, Mr. Lushola Abiola, Senator Shettima says that Nigeria has a housing deficit of 28 million houses and commends Governor Ahmed Aliyu of Sokoto for his efforts at tackling the housing needs of his people. And that's it on the program. Your lunch has been served. I'm Jeff Rosama. Thank you for watching.